Absolutely.
So we are all set. Go ahead and give us what
Okay.
you got first.
Yeah, I mean, yesterday I sent the spreadsheet over.
Go Twins.
Excuse me?
I say go Twins.
Yes, go Twins, go Vikings, all of that. Um, thanks, Bob. Anyway, so we have 8 projects, as you know, um, 5 of which well, I'll just walk through them, starting from top to bottom. We'll start with Clancy. Um, Talked to my people yesterday. The district continues to search for a viable well location. Well 1 was not viable. Well 2 produced a lot of water. However, as you may know, the water test showed that it exceeded the MCL for radionuclides, which means there was uranium in the water, I believe. So the district, along with support from Great West's hydrogeologist, is now in the process of pump testing the well that provides water for the legal tender. As you know, that restaurant in Clancy. The status of that pump test is not yet known. We should know shortly after the first of the year. And if it looks good, then maybe, just maybe, we can get this project moving forward. Um, there's approximately, I did talk to Kasia, the grant manager for this project yesterday. The emphasis now is drawing down the balance of the minimum allocation grant funds. And that's going to be a priority early in the new year. Of course, because we all have the December 31st, 2025 deadline hanging over our heads. But there's no reason to believe, I mean, if the pump test of the legal tender well looks good and the owners of legal tender are willing to allow the district to draw water from that well, then that project will move along very quickly, and meeting that December 31st deadline, 1 year from today, should not be a problem. Colette Anderson, the project manager, is on vacation, and in fact, she was in San Francisco to watch the Lions and the 49ers last night. She'll be back in the office Thursday. I will talk with her and get an update and see if there's anything different from what I have just told you. And if there is, I will update this spreadsheet and send it to you either latter, Thursday or Friday or first thing next week. And that's about all I know about Clancy. Any
Greg?
questions about that?
Hold on one sec. You said 2025, December 31st, 2025. Is that the year before it's actually due for the state
Yes.
to get their end done? Is that okay?
That is the state of Montana's deadline.
Okay.
Okay. Now, and the reason that might be a little confusing, the Treasury Department's deadline is December 31st, 2026.
Right.
But, and for those of us who have had to do reports to Treasury, um, I understand why the state of Montana wants a year to get all the data and then do its final report to Treasury, because I can't imagine what an overwhelming job that would be. I would have, I would want nothing to do with that. So they've made it clear for, well, what, last 2-3 years, Ginger, that December 31st, 2025 is in fact the deadline to expend all of the minimum allocation, all of the ARPA competitive grant funding. Okay. So that's what we're all working towards. And I have to say, the DNRC has been very flexible in allowing grantees to amend budgets, to do what needs to be done to spend those funds as quickly as possible. I mean, ideally, those funds would be spent well before the December 31st deadline. And we have had Well, like I said, the DNRC has been very helpful and flexible in allowing our clients to make changes to budgets or contracts to expedite the use of those funds. So, yeah, that's what we're looking at, guys.
Thank you.
Okay. Basin. Talked to Jason Crawford yesterday from Triple Tree. The project is under construction. In fact, it is substantially complete for the water services and the pump out portions, the pump house portions, improvement portion of the project. And all of the, according to Jason, all of the ARPA MAG funding has been spent. So that project is progressing nicely and nearing completion. Um, Same thing with Saddle Mountain. The project is complete. And I spoke with Tom the other day, and they are working on preparing the closeout documents and the final request for funds from the ARPA for the MAG funding. And I would expect, Ginger, you'll see that sometime in early January. Okay. So Saddle Mountain will be closed out. I also spoke with Tom Jandrin. I hope I pronounced that correctly, from
That's
Forest
correct,
Park.
Craig.
Did I? Good. I talked to Tom yesterday morning. The project is, well, it's complete. They've got DEQ approval. It's been bid, and the Beaver Lane project is finished. So that's good news. Same thing with the Montana City School. That project has been closed out. Oh boy, we submitted the closeout documents for that project several months ago, and it's been closed. Um, Hangman's Tree, that's going to be interesting to follow. I talked with Robbie Culver right before Christmas. They did bid the project. The bids came in high, and they are going to solicit bids once again sometime in January. And hopefully they'll get some more a more competitive bid, and they can complete that project and get it wrapped up in 2025.
Better hustle.
They better hustle. Now, as for the town of Boulder's water project, I spoke with Ellie Schmeltzer is now the project manager for Morrison Merrily on that project. Alan Erickson is no longer with M&M. Ellie was on vacation, but I spoke with her supervisor, a guy named Eric Blanksma, yesterday, and that project is in pretty good shape too. According to Eric, test well number 4 has been drilled, and Morrison Merrily is currently developing a screen for the well and expects to have it ready for pump testing by the end of January. And so far, every indication is that that well is going to be productive. Also, they are completing the plans and specifications for the well house building, and they expect DEQ approval by mid-January, and the town will be ready to solicit bids. Eric is estimating by late January or early February. So again, that project is moving forward. So good news there. And then last but not least, we have the town of Whitehall's water project. And Jason told me yesterday it's done. It's complete. So 5 out of the 8 projects are either complete or near completion. 3, Hangman's Tree, Boulder, and let's see here. Hangman's Tree and Boulder are nearing completion, and what is the other one?
Clancy.
Clancy, yes, Clancy, thank you. Is also, well, there's maybe some hope for optimism with Clancy, because as you all know, that project has been around a while. And I think it's worth noting the common theme to 2 of those projects is that there are wells involved. It's been my experience that anytime you have a well project, they seem to be a little harder to develop than a project that does not include a well. Um, I don't know if that's true or not. That's just my experience, but well projects, it's a lot harder than people think than just punching a hole in the ground and pulling water from it. It's never quite that easy. At least that's what I've noticed in over the last 25 years. But the bottom line is these projects are moving along. People are doing what they're supposed to be doing. Ginger pointed out to me yesterday that the DNRC is approving draws. From everything I've seen so far, we're in good shape. We're in good shape.
Great.
Appreciate your help on that, Craig.
Well, you're very welcome. What I would like to do, though, is get on your agenda for a meeting, either your last meeting in January or your first meeting in February, and give you an update on Boulder, Hangman's Tree, and Clancy, and any other projects if there are developments. Because I definitely want to do a better job of staying on top of this for you all. And so, if you could select a date, like I said, either the latter part of January, early part of February, I could come back and do what we're doing here this morning. I would appreciate that.
Sounds good. We'll get you on the agenda.
Yeah.
Bob won't be here, but Dan and I will be. Bob,
Sounds good. Bob, are you done?
I am done, Craig. Yeah.
So who is taking your chair, Bob?
Craig Doolittle.
I don't know Craig, but
Craig's our former sheriff. He'll do a bang up job.
good. I look forward to meeting him. So, any questions, commissioners?
Do you know what happens to the funds by this time next year, not obligated or not spent, I guess? Are they just going back to the state to be done away with somehow, or do you have any ideas?
State will reshuffle them probably.
Well, this is where it gets interesting, because that's a great question. The legislature directed that any unused funds, MAG or competitive, go to the Department of Commerce for planning grants.
Okay,
Okay. Now, will that happen in January 2026? Well, let me just be blunt with you. The answer to your question, Corey, is I don't know. But I suspect, given everything I've heard from the DNRC over the last year, is if there are unused funds, they're going to go back to Treasury.
okay.
And I suspect the new administration, that's what they're going to want to see happen.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
I'm sure, yeah. Okay,
So, and I think that's fine. It should go back to Treasury. Um, but boy, I tell you, people are pushing hard to get these projects done. I mean, across the board, not just the 8 we're talking about here this morning, but every other project I'm involved with, people are pushing hard because that deadline, like I said, is hanging over everybody's heads and they want those funds spent. Nobody
Yeah.
wants to turn the money back.
I'm assuming if the counties haven't spent their money by the end of next year, the state will have one more year to spend it before it goes back to Treasury, so there might be enough buffer there that they can dump it into something.
I suspect that's the case. But I don't know. And it'll be interesting to watch the legislative session and see what comes. I would have to imagine that's going to be a discussion point during the upcoming legislative session.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you
But-
know, across the state, is there a lot of the minimum allocation grants not spent?
No. No. Well, I can only speak for Great West clients.
Yeah,
And again, across the board, everyone, understands the December 31st deadline and why it's important. We have already amended budgets and contracts with the DNRC's approval that will allow clients to spend those funds first. I mean, we have some projects that won't be done until 2026, and in one case, possibly early 2027. But the DNRC has already stated that for that project, which is, I'll tell you, it's a water project up in Thompson Falls, that we can draw those funds, the ARPA funds, this year, close them out, even though we likely will not have a certificate of substantial completion, which, as you may know, is what you normally need in order to close out a grant. Well, in the case of ARPA, that's not the case. They just want to spend the funds. We'll get the closeout reports in, and that's it. We're done.
Oh, okay.
That's nice.
Good.
Yeah, I would, what was it, $1.4 billion that flowed through the state of Montana that they have to report on back to Treasury. Just the thought of that gives me a headache. But so I appreciate the tough spot the DNRC is in, and I'm frankly been super happy with their willingness to work with folks like you and everybody else to get those dollars drawn and close out those contracts.
Absolutely.
I suspect, I mean, I'm just assuming here, but the one fly in the ointment is this Clancy project. As you know, it has been around a long time. I mean, Corey, when did we start talking about that? 6 years ago? 7 years ago? I mean, maybe not that long
It's
ago.
been around since I've been commissioner 10 years ago, so.
Okay, well, it's been a long time. Um, Again, the issue there has been finding a viable water supply. It appears that may have been identified now. I hope that's true. And if it is, I know Kasia and Colette and the folks from the district will do what they can with the support of the DNRC to draw down those ARPA funds as quickly as they can.
Yeah, sounds good. I think water rights is their next
Hurdle.
hurdle to get over before they can start building.
Yeah, that could be, and I'm sure you're right, Corey. I just, like I said, I have not had the chance to sit down and visit with Colette about that, but I will do so. And when we meet again in a month or so, I will give you an update on that. And if I get information before that, obviously I will share that with you, with all of you.
Sounds great. Appreciate it, Craig.
Okay.
Like
And-
Bob said, appreciate your work on this throughout the last couple of years. It's been great having you keep all that corralled for us.
It's been easy for us.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you feel that way, commissioners, and but I just want to say I couldn't be doing this without Ginger's help.
I just gave him my username and password for my part of it. It's like, here, you have it.
Yeah. Our next task will be, and I'm not directly involved with this, but I can certainly provide support, is the reporting that's coming up in, what is it, Ginger, the end of March for
Yeah.
the Treasury report? Yeah. That's the next deadline that we have. And of course, there's pressure on local governments to use those state and local fiscal recovery funds as well. So it doesn't sound like you have any contracting issues. Hopefully that's not the case. I do not understand the December 31st rule on having fiscal recovery funds under contract. But you have until December 2027 to spend the funding. That makes no sense to me. But
Lose track of it.
yeah, it's.
We're
I don't
down
think.
to about 250,000, and 80,000 of that for, is for a contract with a gal that's doing grant management. And so hopefully this afternoon we'll have the rest of it obligated.
All right, well,
Gone. Yeah.
anything else?
I don't think so. Have a great New Year's, Craig, and
Thank you.
You too. Thank you all. Bob, best wishes to you. Hopefully our
Thanks,
paths will
Craig.
cross again. And I don't know, are you a Viking fan?
Of course.
Attaboy. Yeah,
course.
it's getting pretty exciting.
The game coming up, yeah.
Sunday night. So anyway, take care. Best wishes. Happy Happy New Year. And Ginger, when a date has been selected for me to come back, please let me know and I'll make sure that I have a full update ready for you on that at that time, okay? All right.
Sounds good, Craig. Thanks.
see ya.
Thank you all. Best wishes.
Yeah, you too.